for a team to win in the NFL now is find a franchise quarterback who's playing on a rookie deal and buy talent around him. And that's what we've got.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, NFL Championship Preview, we talk about the conference championships, recap them. Segment 2, talk about some of the coaching hires that may or may not be worth their weight. And of course, in segment 3, we will give a mini preview about the big game that is coming up in a couple of weeks. But first, NFC Conference Championship. The Washington Commanders took on the Philadelphia Eagles, and Dr. Adams took the points, but Coach Adams kind of thought the Eagles would win. With us today, our Commanders correspondent, Brian Beaubien. Brian, share any thoughts you want, not only on the game today, but this magnificent season that brought an entire community together. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, well, we had conversations offline where I was pretty confident that the home team wasn't going to manage to get it done today, and the good guys, the good guys didn't disappoint me by laying an egg. I thought it would be at least a little closer. But, again, the conversation we had, they had to play flawless football on offense. They couldn't turn the ball over. They had to hold Saquon to under 130 yards, which they did. They turned the ball over 3 times, 3 fumbles that were meaningful, before the game was out of hand. And you're not coming back from that. And it showed in all of the wild card games, the divisional games. The teams that were able to protect the ball were the teams that won, and it was the same case here today. The landscape of the game changed after those turnovers, and there just wasn't anything Washington was going to be able to do. That said, I'm not mad at anything. I know that the term "playing with house money" is kind of it's in vogue and whatever, but there was no expectation they were getting here. If they had improved 100% over last year, they were still only at 8 wins and looking, watching the playoffs from the couch. And they won 2 playoff games this year with an absolute stud quarterback, $85 million in cap space. Yes, there's holes that have to be filled, very clearly articulated by this game here in Philadelphia. But I have never, in the last 30 years, been hopeful in this way. The script for a team to win in the NFL now is find a franchise quarterback who's playing on a rookie deal and buy talent around him, and that's what we've got. Jayden Daniels is the real deal. The guy has ice water in his veins. Nothing phases him. He got upset after the game today, saying, this stuff sucks and I don't want to feel this way again. And I firmly believe that he's going to go back to the lab and figure everything out. But this game wasn't on him, right? I mean, he didn't fumble that one pick in the end zone. I mean, there was nothing else to do in garbage time. Like there is hope in DC like there hasn't been in a long time. And I am the biggest AFC fan for the next 2 weeks. I hope that nothing good happens for Philadelphia. I hope they all get the runs on February 8th and can't play on February 9th. But I think it's Washington is a better place when the Commanders are winning. It's just that way.
And I've got to ask before we get to George's thoughts. ESPN had an article this weekend that came out about Dan Snyder not being pleased with the level of success, and that it was his childhood team, childhood dream, and it just didn't work out. Got to get your thoughts over everybody on that ESPN article. What did you think when you saw that?
He is such a small human being, both figuratively and literally. It just doesn't shock me. I'm not surprised. He's a petty human, and that was on the heels that was on the heels of the article that talked about how Joe Gibbs had to step in at the 11th hour to convince him to let the team go. I mean, this guy was nothing but a cancer on this team and this city. The fact that he is exiled to London, fantastic. You can have him. Nothing good happened when he touched this team. I'm glad that he's gone. And I mean, more than anything else, honestly, I couldn't care less if Philly is happy or Philly fans are happy. I have Philly fans who are friends, and I'm happy for them. The fact that he might find some joy in the Commanders' loss is what hurts more than anything else. And I want for him to be as miserable for the next 30 years of his life as he's made me as a fan for 30 years of mine. I can't. I mean, it's been horrendous. And if we win the Super Bowl next year, if the Commanders win the Super Bowl next year, I'm not going to be playing. If the Commanders win the Super Bowl next year and it hurts his heart, I would love it. And that's part of the allure of having the Commanders be successful is the fact that this guy realizes that he was the problem and everybody else in the world sees that he was the problem.
Woo. Okay,
Wow.
George. We're going to try to stick to the football game because
Wait a minute. You expect me to follow that? God,
I tried to couch it. I tried to couch it, man. That's fire, man. That's fire.
That is some hurt. That's some hurt from like little kid coming out and just
Well,
we might need therapy. I feel you, Brad.
I talked to my son today, and my son is 11, and I was younger than he was the last time Washington had any joy at all.
Yes, yes. And fans of the show know Ryan grew up watching the games, and when he was able to, he bought season tickets, and it just didn't work out.
Wow.
So, man, I feel for you. Congratulations on a great season. George, you watched the game. Any thoughts on the game itself? Because the soliloquy, yes, that's Shakespearean, brother. It is.
Wow. Okay. Brian, we can talk later offline if you got anything else you want to get out, man. I'm here, brother. I'm here. Well, the mirror, to me, and you guys can chime in and see how you feel about this. The Commanders season this year, to me, was a mirror image of the Texans season last year. And the same things, same kind of setup, same kind of things happen. And if it continues that way, hey, great for Washington. I'm a Cowboy fan. It's not a but the city is a better place when the Commanders / Redskins, whatever you want to call them, when they're winning. But it just mirrors it. Jaden Daniels is a great find for them. He was ready. He was NFL ready. He was ready for prime time. I'm still to this day, like I voiced the opinion before, concerned because I'm worried about his frame, but he doesn't take big hits. So he learned and he saw that. So that's one great thing about it. And they're set up for the future as they go along. I think they need cornerback help because they definitely need to find some corners. They need to find a couple wide receivers too to go along with McLaurin. I think a lot of the receivers stepped up as we went along. They definitely can, but late in the rounds they can find a second back because the kid from San Diego or wherever the guy was, he didn't help out even after he got hurt and he came back. I don't think he was effective, but Brian Johnson was terrific for them this year. So they're on the upswing. They're one of those teams that Philly does not want to see next year. Okay, so that's going to be a whole because now they got a gripe against them. The game got away from them today, and it was because of it showed because of their youth and because of their inexperience. It kind of got away from them because some of those turnovers, you just can't have happen. I will say begrudgingly what I'm going to say now. I hate saying this. Jalen Hurts is actually a decent quarterback. I hate this. He controls the game. He has total control of that game. And to add Saquon to this, makes them a juggernaut. And I think they have completely found their footing. They are a very complete team. They defensive wise, they're nasty when they need to be. They rush when they need to be. They cover when they need to. There aren't many holes there. I think they like that started the game. The Commanders went off on a long 10-minute drive or something and came away with just a field goal.
Yeah,
And
George, I thought about Notre Dame and Ohio State with that.
And it was like lightning struck as soon as Philly got the ball. They were up 14-3 in no time. So that offense has the ability to kick it into another gear because you saw it because the minute and what you saw is a team that's been there before because as soon as the Commanders messed up or had a mistake, they capitalized. What they scored? 28, 35 points off of turnovers today. So it was, it was their complete team. And I hate Philly. And I hate begrudgingly. I have to put him in a category with some of the better quarterbacks in the league right now. So he gets my tip of the hat, even though I begrudgingly do it. He gets my tip of the hat.
All right. Well, fellas, we're going to talk about the AFC now, and that went down to the wires. So the Buffalo Bills gave it a great effort, but as my man George says, when you come for the King,
you better not miss.
So, George, any thoughts about Buffalo, Kansas City?
Great game. Thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to come down to, a couple of plays down to the wire. You got two great quarterbacks. More turnovers than I thought I'd wind up seeing in that game. But these things happen when you put two great teams together in tight pressure situations. But, it just what can you say? I mean, Kansas City knows how to win. And that's when it comes to big games. As I'll steal a quote from one of University of Miami, Florida's best, big time players make big time plays in big time games, and that's just what happens. That you leave a crack, and they're going to go through it, and they're going to make you pay for it. So I mean, nobody wants to see it. Everybody's rooting against them. I look online all the time talking about the calls that they get and this, that, and the other. It's just the same thing we heard all those years with the Patriots. But at the end of the day, there's really no argument saying you got the best two teams in the Super Bowl.
Ryan, Kansas City has done it time after time after time. But Josh Allen, he's a good player. Is he ever going to get over the hump?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they went and tried to get him some more weapons at receiver this year. They brought in Diggs, and he was out. It didn't really have the impact that they were hoping he was going to have. But there's only so many games where he's going to just be able to put him on his back and do all of the things, right? You look at Mahomes and this Chiefs team. Kelsey was pretty much absent today. Much to
don't remind me.
he was pretty absent, yet this is the first game of the season where Kansas City scores over, 31 or 30 or something like that?
32.
Yeah, so Josh Allen has been the guy doing all of the work there in Buffalo, and he's not going to be able to get over that hump unless he's got somebody who is his Travis Kelce to his Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's not like he's going to have something, and he doesn't have that thing. He hasn't had that thing. So.
Well, with that, fans, in segment 2, we will talk about some coaching moves and decisions. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasafeproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. And in segment 2, we've got some coaching moves, and we're going to start off with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have settled on their 10th head coach in their 65-year history, and I didn't have Brian Schottenheimer on my bingo card. Brian, any thoughts about the Dallas Cowboys hiring Brian Schottenheimer?
I mean, I have lots of thoughts. As a Commanders fan, I'm so happy that Jerry Jones is still in charge in Dallas, because I don't think that Dallas is going to be a concern in the future. And you could probably clip that, Kelly, and we'll play it next year when Dallas goes, 11-5 or whatever. But I had such Jim Zorn vibes when they announced the Schottenheimer hire. It felt like we're just going to back into the coordinator because we've put ourselves in a position where we can't do anything else. And I'm just waiting for at the intro presser for him to introduce the periwinkle and gunmetal, and then it'll all come full circle. But I don't understand what they're doing. I don't know why you get rid of McCarthy in favor of Schottenheimer. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. All you have to do is wait a week until these games are over, and you can hire a decent coordinator. Like I just don't get the play. But Jerry Jones gonna Jerry Jones, and I mean, after Dan Snyder, like this guy holds the mantle for terrible NFL owners, and so I'm not surprised, but thankful.
Well, I wanted to give him some time to process this. George, Dallas, I didn't have it on my bingo card. I can't lie. I thought they would go in a lot of different directions, but they hired Brian Schottenheimer to replace Mike McCarthy. You're the best kind of Cowboys fan. You're very honest, very open, and you can be critical. Is this a hire that Cowboys Nation is cool with, or do we have an issue?
George had to go to the towel. George had to go to the towel before he answered the question. I think that says something.
No. I'm gonna tell you honestly, Brian. I'm gonna tell you it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a Cowboy fan, what you feel or what's going on. We know from experience, Jerry Jones does what Jerry Jones wants to do. And Jerry Jones is not going to he's had dominant coaches in the past, and that took the shine away from him. So he's not going to have another one. Jimmy Johnson was there. He moaned like as bad as Shaq did about whose team it was, and he got rid of him. Bill Parcells was there. He fought with him about that. So look, unless they can function, and it takes a special player to play in Dallas, because you have to be able to function with the criticism of being, probably the most visible team in the league, and at the same time with the most visible owner who's going to run his mouth and meddle in everything that happens. So it's a no-win situation for any coach that goes in there. If there's a coach worth his salt, that's probably somewhere he won't be, because he's got the owner meddling the entire time. So it makes with that hire makes no did not do anything to change my viewpoint or anything of whatever is happening in Dallas. It's going to be the same as usual. Jerry hires yes men that he can tell them what to do, push around, and keep it moving. So that's basically what it comes down to, man. We got another year. It'll probably, and like I said this before, I said this on another podcast. We'll get a team. We might run and get 12 wins again in the next 2 seasons and win the NFC East. might win a playoff game or two, but it ain't gonna amount to nothing because Jerry can't keep his hands out of stuff. So it's the same thing all over again, man.
All right. So the New York Jets hired Aaron Glenn, and now I'm a Jets fan because the BCA is real. But is this hire actually going to help the Jets? George, does this do anything? Because the Jets roster is just kind of all over the place.
No, it's not all over the place. It's a dumpster fire. That's what it is. It is a dumpster fire. There is a lot of rebuilding there. There are pieces there actually. Um, if Aaron Glenn can get that defense back together, Woody Johnson stays upstairs. Their biggest question is going to be a quarterback. What the answer is. I mean, you got to get rid of their so-called Messiah, and and see what they can go to next. But the biggest question there is going to be who's quarterback and who you're going to bring in as the offensive coordinator. I think Aaron Glenn will get the defense back together because they have pieces. They have a very solid, what could be a very solid defense. It is really going to be about can Aaron Glenn find an OC and can they find a quarterback and does Woody Johnson stay upstairs? And those are the three things. Those are the biggest three things they're facing them right now.
All right, I'll take the Jacksonville Jaguars because I'm a wrestling fan and the Khan family owns All Elite Wrestling. Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen finally was hired by Jacksonville, but why do we have to go through all these changes? Not only did they fire their GM, which they probably should have done at the end of the season, but they had to, kind of go around Robin Hood's barn to do it. Hopefully, this guy can be a quarterback whisperer to Trevor Lawrence, who Brian, am I being too harsh? But is he sniffing bust? Or is that too harsh? What do you think, sir?
I mean, it's hard to question it at this point. He's had one decent season, and the rest of them have been subpar. He's getting paid like one of these top flight quarterbacks, and he hasn't produced like it. Now, you can talk about his supporting cast not being adequate, but at some point, I mean, Jaden Daniels had Terry McLaurin and a cast of characters and won 14 games this year. So, there's a point at which we have to recognize, to your point, George, about New York and needing a quarterback. They can have the stoutest defense that you want. This is a quarterback-driven league. If they don't have a quarterback that's going to drive the offense, then there's not gonna be any success. And so, I mean, he's got one more year, I think. And if he's not able to put something together with Cohen, then I don't know that they can keep him around much longer than one more year.
All right, and finally, George, I'm going to go to you with this one. The Raiders, they hired Pete Carroll, and I like Pete Carroll. I've got no beef with Pete Carroll. I got no problem with him turning 74 in September. I got no problem with that. I just didn't think the Raiders would go in that direction. Grade that hire, George, because again, he's a good coach, bless his heart, but I think the Raiders needed something else. But what do you think?
C minus. Yes. I'm not down. I'm not down in Pete. Maybe he comes in with that rah stuff he has that got tired in Seattle. It worked with Seattle for a while, but you had a solid defense to hang your hat on, and a running game, which made Russell Wilson look a whole lot made him look great, and he came along well. But look, the biggest thing is I don't care who the Raiders hire. It really didn't matter until they get a quarterback in there. It does not make a damn bit of difference. They need a quarterback. If they get one in the draft, we'll see. They got some pieces there to hold them together while the quarterback develops. I mean, it's a huge question mark because I don't know why they went in the route of Pete Carroll. But then again, once you need a quarterback, you need a quarterback whisperer. I don't see him there. Pete Carroll's not one. So what are they going to do? So because they need a young quarterback there. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, as of right now, where they stand, yeah, I got to give that's got to be a C minus for a hire where they are.
All right, so fans, when we get back in segment 3, we will do a initial preview of the big game because we don't own these rights. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, the matchup is set. Is this a rematch from one of these Super Bowls?
Yeah, it is.
We've got the Philadelphia Eagles going against Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, I still laughed that Philly didn't think Andy Reid could do the job. Brian, any initial thoughts on the big game?
So as you know, I've been the biggest Chiefs fan in all of history for as long as we can remember, and I'm going to continue to be that biggest Chiefs fan for the Super Bowl. And I hope that they boat race the Philadelphia Eagles by 30 points.
Well, there's a snarky cigar chomping, small glass drinking guy we miss that will probably agree with you, sir. Much love to Ken Cud, man. All right, George, what are your initial thoughts on the big game?
I got to see Philly's got to come in, and it's like it is. They got to play a perfect game, and they're gonna have to have some wrinkles involved to get past this team. You can say people can go and say what they want to, but the stand still stands, baby. If you come for the king, you better not miss, because he ain't gonna be missed. He ain't gonna miss an opportunity to get rid of you. He's not gonna miss the opportunity to put you down and go ahead and get another ring. He's focused. The team is focused. Philly looks good. But like usual, when you got the king, you got Andy Reid calling plays, they're gonna find somehow they've done it before, find somehow, some way to come up and get a victory. So it should be
the initial prediction, George, is Kansas City over Philadelphia without the stats and so forth. Brian, you agree as well? Kansas City over Philadelphia. Initially, we'll do a full breakdown next week, but those are your initial thoughts.
Yeah, you can't bet against the Chiefs right now.
I will say this. My thinking right now, after going through this, going through this with seeing Josh Allen, is that I'm wondering if it's time for Buffalo to blow up and start over.
No.
Or do something different. They've gone with the same core the entire time and can't get over the hump. Whether it's Joe Burrow or it's Mahomes, he can't get it done. And I don't know, you stick to the same plan. And I don't know if we stay with McDermott as the coach. I don't know what change has to be made, but they got to do something different, because the formula they come in with on a continuous basis is not enough to get over the hump.
All right. So before we close, do have to give a shout out to Bills Mafia. Something positive came after the tough situation with the Ravens tight end Mark Andrews, who two costly turnovers or non-plays. The Buffalo Bills fans started a GoFundMe, raised thousands of dollars for Andrews charity, supporting juvenile diabetes. According to the GoFundMe, the initial goal was $5,000, but they had raised nearly $40,000. And Bills Mafia has a long history of supporting players on other teams. So even out of that,
They should have raised it for Stickum. That's what they should have raised it for. They should
Took
have
a
raised
positive
it for
story and made it just.
No, I don't understand. I don't understand how these guys were wearing gloves last week. Those gloves, as soon as you get a little bit wet, as soon as those gloves get a little bit wet, they are not. They're anti-stickum. They're terrible.
Mark Andrews knows that. He knows that now. He knows that now.
Not going to wear them next year. Hopefully he'll.
No. Well, if he doesn't retire.
No, he's a good player. Had a couple of bad plays. It happens. You know, guys miss free throws in my sport.
All them years I played baseball. Sometimes you got to spray it on your hands. You know, got to spray it on your hands. Sometimes. I'm just saying. Time card worked well in the cold.
Oh, thank you, George Brett.
Anytime.
On behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.